Hello everybody, Jack Powers, namaste. We're here with another episode of Infamous Federal Prisoners. And this is part 2 of the Michael Turner episode. So, last time we talked about how Michael Turner, a young black man who was saddled with umpteen years for a 1986 bank robbery in Alabama, and subsequent charges that I just discovered were part of what had happened in his case. He was at USP Springfield. Apparently he was on Unit D, which is called Doghouse, and it's just so incredible. It's just so incredible, the coincidences that occur. It's hard to explain. But yeah, he was in Doghouse in USP Springfield, Missouri. And this is prior to him arriving at Leavenworth. This is why he went to Leavenworth. And they searched his cell, and they found that the window screen, these are thick screens, had been cut out, and it had been, like, I guess, sewn back in place with steel wool, fibers from steel wool. Wow, I never thought of that. I did the same thing some years later. When I went down there from ADX, I did the exact same thing. But Michael had also had one of the outer bars cut in half. And I guess he had some of the tiles, some of those cells have tiles for the walls. He had a couple of those removed, and he was able to make a little compartment behind them, if it was indeed him. I don't even know. They probably don't know. But there was a bunch of escape stuff, a map, some black ink, and a pair of shoes that had been dyed, and it's just incredible. This guy, because anybody who's ever been to Springfield knows you've got nothing down there. I mean, nothing. You've got a cell. And for somebody to be able to put something together like that and be able to do something like that within the very strict, because down there, they're watching you very, very closely. They're making rounds every 15 minutes. And any noises, they have the ventilation system is for them listening. They have microphones in the ventilation system. And they have over by 10E, Unit 10E, upstairs, they have offices up there. They have like a big room where employees sit and listen to the different sounds coming from the cell blocks, because it's a medical/psych unit. 10D would be psych, 10C, it's a little bit of a mixture, 10E, psych, definitely psych units. And they're listening to everything they can hear. So, and making reports. So, it's just incredible that he was able to do this. That he was able to get that far there. But they bus him, and they charged him with an attempted escape. They charged him. And when I read this morning, I'm like, whoa, because I didn't know anything about this. I just went back and double checked and looked at some of the records because I wanted to know. what was going on. There was something going on there. And he got 41 months for an attempted escape from Springfield, and they sent him to Leavenworth, where in February of 1993, he beat the wall. Michael Turner beat the wall at Leavenworth, February 1st, 1993. A date that should go down in history, because this was a young black man, came from underprivileged background for sure, needed money, thought he saw a way that he could do it, slid into a bank, got a few bucks, got away. Somebody probably dropped a dime on him. Who knows? He was just in bad circumstances. So when he got to Leavenworth, he was fresh off an escape attempt at USP Springfield. And he had an appeal pending. That appeal was denied in June of 1992. Remember, he escaped in February 1st of 1993. So it all makes sense. The thing that strikes me about Michael Turner was his determination and his creativeness. Anybody that can be that creative and can think something through to that degree needs to be commended. Anybody that's willing to give their life for their freedom. And, people say, yeah, well, he robbed a bank. He did this, he did that. He deserved to be in prison. Excuse me, did that man deserve to be in prison for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years? Really? Come on. Let's think this through a little bit. Let's think about how a society could benefit more if we didn't have a system that creates a dead end for these marginalized people. Yeah, okay, he made a mistake. Yeah, okay, he committed a crime. Just because you commit a crime on one occasion or more occasions, it doesn't make you a criminal, a full-time criminal. It just doesn't. Michael Turner was not a criminal. He just wasn't. He didn't have that mindset. I knew him very well. He didn't have that mindset at all. And his problem was that he was black and that he was from Alabama and that he never had a chance. Really. Think about it. You grow up in that environment. You grow up where, your dad isn't even on scene. Your mom, she's trying to do the best she can to make ends meet. You're just trapped in these really terrible circumstances, bad neighborhoods where everybody else, their problems, similar, have compounded over the years and over decades. And now there's a serious issue because now the influence is really negative. And maybe you just really don't ever have a good chance of making it out of there without taking some kind of a chance and doing something like robbing a bank or dealing drugs or whatever you feel you have to do in order to bust up out of there, in order to get enough money together to go somewhere else and live a different life or have a different level of lifestyle. I think that's what drives people to commit these really desperate acts. You go to a bank and rob a bank, that's a desperate act. That's somebody that's, you're taking big chances, and it's desperate. There has to be a different and a better way to go about things. But anyway, I'm preaching to the choir, I know, but Michael Turner was a dude that I really felt, Michael Turner's my hero. He really is. He's my hero. So we talked last time. He went down to this chicken joint after he beat the wall. He busted his ankle. He went down to this chicken joint down the street a little ways and got up in the crawl space up above the restaurant, was in there for about 2 weeks, and then one day he climbed down and he found some little gun, they said, some little 22 or something, some old beat up, probably rusty, broken little thing, and he held it on him and supposedly tied him up. He didn't tie him up too good, took their car, but with, just a short ways down the road, they converged on him and threw down, and he threw up his hands and gave up. He was taken back to Leavenworth. He was put in the first cell in the shoe, right up at the front of the range, and had all kinds of notes and tags on his doors. They put letters on your door. Don't open this door under any circumstances. Lieutenant Hold, blah, 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 blah. So he was there while he was going to court. So he goes down to Kansas City, Kansas courthouse for, I guess, his trial or one of the hearings. And when the marshals come to get him out of the holding cell, he has a gun. It must have looked real enough. It's made out of soap. Must have looked real enough. He had a gun. And he held it on him. And he made him uncuff him. And he cuffed them to the bars. Are you kidding me? What kind of balls did that kid have? What kind of desperation to regain his freedom? He had big time motivation. It was just a little misdirected because he cuffed the marshals to the bars, and they're not going to let that ride. Nah. U.S. Marshals, they think they're the shit anyway. They're not going to let that ride. He got away. Got out of the courthouse. Apparently, according to the scant news reports that I saw, he was able to get a car from a couple other people, apparently robbed them for their car, maybe, I don't know, maybe using the same gun made of soap, who knows. Marshall said they took their guns, but, who knows about that? I don't think they're armed in the courthouse. Some of them are, but you never know which ones. It kind of passes around. Maybe they all are. I don't know. But I really just can't think that they'd be armed inside a facility, inside where the holding cells are. It'd be too much of a risk and not much of a gain for anybody. But in any case, he got away. There was a 3-day manhunt. He made it to Florida, but they knew the car he had. And this is what I think happened. The news reports say that they chased him into a church parking lot. He parked. He got out, had a gun in his hand, shot at the cops, cops returned fire and killed him. That was their story. What really happened, I believe, was this. Michael Turner was dead tired. Being on the run is no fun. You're trying to make miles. He went in that church parking lot in that car. He parked way in the back, and he slept. He was in the back seat. He was sleeping when the police threw down on him. They knew the car. They probably went up. They probably already had the shotgun. They probably went up to the window. They probably maybe banged with a stick or yelled, "Michael Turner!" And he probably started to get up, wake up a little bit in a groggy state, and they blasted him. Boom, boom, boom. He was killed by a shotgun blast. They weren't going to let him live. They were not going to let him live. That is an amazing story to me. It's a real life Cool Hand Luke. It's just, it has, like I told you, this very sad ending, this gripping kind of a sadness that just, it makes you wonder, makes me think about a lot of different things. Just so many angles of thought that just jars loose in my brain. It's like, who was this man? Why did he have to go that way? But isn't it a testimony? Isn't it some kind of a heroic act? Isn't it? He didn't hurt anybody. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't rape children. He didn't rape women. He didn't kidnap people. He didn't put them in chains. He didn't hold them in dungeons. He didn't torture people. The kid just needed some money and went to a bank and got some money the best way he knew how. That's it. It's too bad the system doesn't have some kind of better way to deal with people who are caught up in that web, and just say, listen, you got to have some punishment here, because we can't just let you do this stuff and get away freely. But let's make that punishment, whether it's time or otherwise, let's make it fit the bill of rehabilitation or habilitation or regeneration of that person's thought process, so that they can adequately understand their options. Because if you don't understand your options, then you think you're just trapped in that lifestyle and you give yourself over to it. Anyway, that was Michael Turner. I'm Jack Powers. Please look at my books: ADX Supermax, The Alcatraz of the Rockies, American Justice Correcting Its Flaws, Lock and Key, Pacing the Cage, Amazon.com. Thank you very much. Namaste.